Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Skeeter Bass Boats, Suncatcher, and Godfrey Aqua Patio Pontoons, Hurricane Deck Boats, G3 John Boats, Sportsman Series. You name it, they've got it. They've got new boats. They've got pre-owned boats. Bob Hodge, you're a big fan of the pre-owned boat.
I'm a big fan of the pre-owned boat, and we make our debut next week.
Oh, did you get that a decade ago? It's way back there, isn't it?
It's 9 years.
9 years, still love it. Yeah. All right, there you go. Madisonville Marine, folks, there's no better place to buy a boat. All right, let's flip things and talk biggest question marks on defense. Got about 5 minutes here, guys. Biggest question marks for the defense. Let's start with these two again since you came in late. What do you got?
You know, what a terrible answer. I think there's questions at every level of defense.
Yeah.
I mean,
but what are the biggest ones?
Your defense. I'm going to go defensive line. I mean, last year you got more out of it than you expected, and now you're going to be down guys. So I'm going to go with defensive line. But boy, the linebackers and DBs are a close second and third.
Yep. Defensive line. They got more from that group than expected last year, but now you're down some bodies. Good. I agree with your take.
Yeah. And nobody would have thought I could have read that from that far away.
Yeah. I'll give you my answer is the one that unfortunately Tennessee is maybe not going to be able to get as much of an answer on this spring as they would like, and it's the secondary. I think they need some answers there. They need to upgrade. They've got to replace Alontae Taylor, obviously, which they struggled to do in the bowl game. And we already know they're going to have some guys out this spring, including Brandon Turnage, who is someone that you need to see more of to see if he can help out there. So I think they're going to be shorthanded, and they still need to add some transfer portal help. But you've got to have somebody emerge there. Hopefully you find someone that maybe hasn't already proven himself during spring practice.
I'll speak up for Will Overstreet here. If your secondary is still a question mark, we'll say linebackers, but we're just talking edge. Are you going to have better pass rush from the edge? You got some good numbers last year in what you did, you schemed it up. Are you going to have some guys that can win one-on-one matchups and generate more pass rush on your quarterback? Because if you got questions in the secondary, then you got to make up for it by getting heat on the quarterback. Are they going to find anyone there on the edge who can make an impact and speed the game up for the quarterbacks?
Yeah, and to that point, Young has to take another step, right? And I think he's got the potential. I do think the secondary is a big concern, and it's hard for me to get that Purdue offense out of my mind, the way they just ran free and torched Tennessee, and whether it's Alontae Taylor. You're also losing Theo Jackson. So the secondary to me is a huge concern, in particular if you don't identify some more pass rushers to help. But they've got to find more help in the secondary.
I don't think I'd ever seen anyone actually have the vapors.
Yeah.
that was either Chuck either had the vapors there or that was a conniption.
That was like a flashback. That's an old man thing, I guess. It was just like the vapor flashback. I mean, you had veteran guys in your secondary, and they couldn't cover, they couldn't contain, they missed too many tackles. I mean, how is that group going to be better? And in that bowl game, I mean, without Alontae Taylor continually beat, and you're still grabbing and tugging, and it was just fundamentally hard to watch.
When a guy with 2 knee replacements beats you, that's a concern.
Right.
We went into last year worried about the defense, and they were saying they're going to be aggressive, and I think they surprised all of us by led the nation or were top 5 in tackles for loss. They did everything they said they were going to do, but I still fear that they might have overachieved last year on defense. I thought the Purdue game looked more like what I went into the season expecting to see, and that worries me that we're going to see more of that in year 2. But it seems like on offense we had more specifics. On defense, and this isn't a good sign, it's, ooh, boy, the D-line, edge rush, ooh, secondary. It's just big picture
We haven't even
stuff.
talked about the linebackers, and I think the linebackers are problematic on their own, too. I mean, once again, I think all 3 levels have their issues.
But if you talk about another group to me that overachieved, linebackers go on that list, don't they? I mean, they stayed healthy and they made some plays. To me,
And Jeremy Banks cut down on the 15-yard penalty. He had a good year last year.
About that group, it seems like they've settled things down maybe with Juwan Mitchell. If he's around and practices this spring, can you get something better out of that group than what we saw last year? Can someone else emerge, a newcomer like Elijah Herring maybe, give you another option there at least? That's still another position group to watch, even though others to me are more glaring needs to find more help.
All right, when we come back, what is the one must-do for Josh Heupel this spring, and what's the latest on Tennessee's top quarterback target? We'll discuss that next.